This is that Wampler Bravado. After a little bit of touch-up work, preventative maintenance, the 3 ARS caps that were prone to leaking because of a bad batch issue have been replaced. I used some FNTs here because I had them and they looked good in here. I didn't need to order ARS caps, so I could have ordered the current production ARS caps. They would have been fine. And the generic silver micas have been replaced with 1 kilovolt Vishay Class 2 ceramics. What's ironic is that, we got a 500 picofarad here, which is much physically smaller than the 120 picofarads. Just one of those things. Different caps in the series are different size. I'm sure they have their reasons, but all of these are working quite well. Let's talk about this Midshift thing that they market as a fat switch. Due to the taper of this 25K pot with a 22K resistor across it, it's not really effective until you get above noon, at which point you already have quite a bit of mids. Pretty much with this pot with the fat switch off, the range that you would use on a Fender is from 7 o'clock to noon, pretty much. And the fat switch doesn't do much between 7 o'clock and noon. It becomes effective over 1 o'clock. It becomes very effective over 1 o'clock. But by the time you get to 1 o'clock, even before you hit the fat switch, you've got a lot of mids, certainly more than a Fender in the 60s ever had. So I would have done this differently. I've got some thoughts on how to do that, but I don't want to reverse engineer or make mods to this other than just the preventative maintenance stuff. I'm sure the owner will always be happy with this, even without the full possible utility of the switch. But it's an odd little design choice to me. Here's the added Larmar master volume of post-phase inverter. When it's on 10, the signal is exactly as it is from the factory. So if you don't want to use it, it's out of the circuit, it becomes the stock circuit. But it's very usable, very safe. So I've got some new wires coming from the pads underneath here to the pot. Well, these are going to the pot here, then there's the bias. And then from the pot and going to some new grid stoppers that I installed at the tube socket itself rather than on the board. The old grid stoppers are still on the board. They're not connected to anything. And the 220Ks have been lifted out and all that cleaned up afterwards. So pretty much just the way it would have been done from the factory if they had done it at the factory. Well, I gave this amp a pretty high construction rating overall, and that holds true for the model as a whole. This individual amp did have one problem. This blue wire here, this plate resistor for the phase inverter, had never been soldered from the factory. There was a little bit of a few clusters of solder molecules there, but this wire was just held in place by its memory of where to be. And when I lifted the board up to do that work, this wire just came right on out, just boop. So I could have filmed that and shown that. Just at this point, either trust me or you don't. It's resoldered now, and every other connection I verified was good from the factory. They just missed this one, which is, an easy fix, but it would have been very frustrating for an owner for that wire to just come out in the middle of a gig. And given that they use these larger 1590 style knobs on the front, I went with a 1590 style knob on the back for the master volume. I could have matched the Boss style that they use here on the impedance selector, but while that looks good from the rear, and then on an impedance selector where there are hard stops, you wouldn't have really been able to feel where that was from the reaching over the top of the amp to reach it. Whereas with this, you can feel where it is because it has that nice chicken head kind of feel. You get that good tactile response. So matches the front. It's not as large as the front ones because it would have blocked the text, but it's the same knob style, just scaled down. This is the one that's about 3/4 of an inch in diameter.